the second part of linear equations, slope-intercept form. Let's start with standard form and review a few things we learned in the previous video. From this form, it's easy to find the slope, the x-intercept, and the y-intercept. Remember, the slope is equal to the a coefficient over the opposite of the b coefficient. So in this case, that's 5 over -4. There's our slope. The x-intercept is the point where the line crosses the x-axis. So y will be 0. If you plug in 0 for y, it's like covering up that 4y term. Remember my fingertip method? And then you solve for x. So when I solve for x, I get 12/5. The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So the x-coordinate will be 0. If you plug in 0 for the x-coordinate, it makes the 5x term disappear. You solve for y and you get 3. Okay, let's set those aside and look at slope-intercept form. Starting with the standard form, you can change it to slope-intercept form very easily by just solving for y. So I want to move 5x away from y. I'm going to have to subtract, right? Let's put the x term before the constant term because that looks a little bit more like what I'm going for. Now divide everything by 4. So y equals -5/4 x plus 3. Okay, now let's look back at the slope and the intercepts and see if they show up in this equation. Remember, it's called slope-intercept form. Well, the slope showed up as the coefficient of the x term, and the y-intercept seems to be right here in the constant term. I don't see the x-intercept anywhere. This is exactly what happens when you solve for y. The slope appears and the y-intercept appears every time, and that's why it's called the slope-intercept form. Let's use it to graph. Here's that same equation. Remember, this is the y-intercept. That means that at 3 on the y-axis, there is a point. Starting at that 3, I can now use my slope as a road map to other points. Keep in mind that -5/4 is equal to -5 over 4, and it's also equal to +5 over -4. Using the first one, I'm going to start at the point I know and rise -5. That means I'm going to fall. So from that point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is how far down I go. Then I run +4. That's to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is another point on the line. I use the slope to get there. I can do that again and again, or I can use the other form of the slope, +5 over -4. Starting at 3 again, I can go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have to make another point. I'm going to put it right here. There's 5. And run -4. That means backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. And there's my other point. Now, do you see how those 3 points are perfectly lined up? That's our line. You get the idea. I really love rulers and paper, so use them. So that's how easy it is to graph a line when you know the slope-intercept form. And that's really the beauty of slope-intercept form. So just to review, the general form looks like this. We say y equals mx plus b. M is the slope. B is the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. Once you know the equation in this form, it's really easy to graph